Bad
Speaking of
and
shit.
potentially very bad.
Speaking of shit,
Alan.
how shit's this Smash situation?
Yeah.
We're finally there, audience. You made it.
I actually think the best way to put it is just that it's incredibly shit for everyone.
Yep.
Like, now Alan said his piece, Smash World Tours had their rebuttal, all that. Honestly, I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of who I think was right and wrong because it's all hearsay. I don't think I'm going to add anything to the conversation. You make up your own mind. Like, seems like most people are against Alan. He's leaving the scene. Let's all move on. But the fact that Smash competitive is just like so fucked by everything, like losing 2 massive circuits, that's the real shame.
sucks.
You know what's also upsetting is that it's once again bad for Smash's reputation in the wider gaming community
Yeah.
because
That's true.
you never get any positive stories when you talk about drama. And like these things only reach mainstream channels like Ludwig's Mogul Mail
When they have drama.
when they have bad things. And so like there's not enough wide-reaching good stories. And so people just hear about like these like, you know, the whole like pedo cancelling drama from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And now this one, which is things getting cancelled. Like I feel like if I wasn't more in deep in the Smash community, I'd have such a bad impression about it because they're the only things that reach the greater community, I guess.
Yeah, well, other than Ludwig's been hosting some... like, he hosted one tournament not too long ago. Now he's hosting one for this.
Yeah, that's
as
good.
well, which is kind of crazy. But
I was so excited for both the circuits. And like now I'm
Yeah.
excited for Scuffed World Tour, but it's not the same as like what we were building up to. And like both of them make sense that Smash World Tour cancelled with their like very vague Nintendo statement. Regardless of whether you think that like Nintendo was or wasn't going to cancel the event, like them reading between the lines is fully understandable to cancel. And then obviously Panda postponing. I don't know if the Panda Cup finale will go along. I feel like I should say I don't have any knowledge of any of the things going behind the scenes with Panda Cup or Panda.
Yep.
yeah.
Like I didn't know. I felt like that should be obvious to a lot of people. But here's what I did for Panda. I have since left. But what I used to do was record videos to put on their YouTube channel, put their sponsors on my streams, like stream a certain amount of times per month, and that's basically it. You know, wear their merch in videos occasionally, stuff like that. Like,
Yep.
I'm on the team.
Well,
but-
it wasn't like you were working on any behind the scenes stuff for them.
Any
It was like
knowledge.
you were like paid by them to make videos for them.
And I did get flown to Florida to film some videos with Panda once. That was a really cool opportunity. And I've had nothing but good experiences with like the whole team, including Alan. But I also don't know anything going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I obviously haven't worked with Panda like you have, but I was in one video on their channel. Just they were like, hey, we need to fill in for this channel. Do you want to come do it? And I was like, sure. And then I did a video with them, and that was all cool. And the guy I talked to, who was Panda, Josh, who has since also left, was super nice to work with.
Yeah.
Like, really great guy. And I think something I really did appreciate about his way of going about things is that he wasn't full of corporate nonsense. He didn't talk around points. He was just very candid with me, even though he didn't even know me, which was very cool. So,
Josh is great.
yeah, it just goes to show that there are a lot of people there in the situation who are blindsided by this as well and are well-meaning people and generally good people, and it's just pretty unfortunate.
I think people have just now started to do a good job of separating like all the Panda staff, players and employees
Yeah.
from Alan as an individual. Not that Alan should be getting any of the doxing and harassment that he's getting. Like that's...
But
I think
if people are
definitely
like,
too
screw
far.
Panda as a whole, makes
Everyone was
really
saying
no
that day
sense.
one, and like it didn't even make sense for me to, in my mind, to have a statement about it because I felt like it didn't involve me. But when all I'm seeing on the timeline day one is fuck Panda, like I
Yeah.
felt like I had to come out and say like, hey, didn't know about this, and then everyone was like, oh my god, thank God you didn't know about this, and I was like, okay, well,
Yeah, what did you expect? Zach's like plotting in his
yeah,
room.
it seemed obvious in my mind.
Got him
They
again.
should go check the Underdogs real life channel to see what kind of nonsense we're doing. Because if they watch one of our videos, they're like, no way, this guy's
That guy
planning
doesn't plot.
yeah, this guy ends up planning everyone's demise.
And that's part of the reason why I did end up leaving, because it's just not worth it to be associated with them as a brand. Also, a large reason was their response to the whole situation did not give me much faith in, like, their statement just sucked. The first one they
Yeah.
released, like, Alan said in his longer one that it was, like, he kind of froze up and, you know...
Yeah, he did say he was
that's
getting like
understandable.
harassed and had a panic attack and stuff. So I can totally understand taking longer. And then he wanted to be safer and pass it through legal people, which is generally known as good advice. people are like, don't say anything until you've talked to a lawyer. People always say shit like that.
But with
what
Twitter-
people needed in that moment was a genuine response. But that's also incredibly risky to do yourself.
Yeah.
And Twitter passes judgment on you in like 12 hours.
God, the thing I've learned most about this whole experience is just fuck Smash Twitter even more than
It's garbage.
the Stephen Kazuya shit that was happening. Like, just reading the replies to Alan's statement from people who have no doubt not read any of it and still formed an opinion. I don't care. Like, if you read the whole 32-page document, you still think he's in the wrong, whatever. But if you're replying to the tweets, shut the fuck up, bitch, and you haven't read his side of the story, isn't that how a lot of people ended up changing their opinions on Naro and other people that got cancelled too early?
Isn't it weird that people say like they feel proud of saying shit like didn't read but ratio, and it's like, are you proud of being an ignorant idiot? Is that something that you're trying? Oh, I'm getting likes for saying I'm not going to read that. It's like,
The problem is yes.
Congrats.
Is yes. Yeah.
it's like, why are you proud of that? Like, it's just
Get
like
the likes. Woo.
proud of being ignorant, and people are like, yeah, I'm ignorant too, so I'm going to hit the like. It's
Yeah.
So I read through Alan's entire statement and then the Smash World Tour one after. I obviously felt like I owed him that. He did a lot for me. And I don't really know what's going on. Obviously, a lot of TOs are coming out against Alan. Doesn't look good for him in that regard. I think the most accurate thing I've seen from people saying it is just a lot of TOs not really knowing how to communicate with each other and not knowing how to help each other's best interests. And then it all becomes a bit of a shit fight from the top few leaders.
Yeah. Even in Australia, I remember when I was doing TOing, it can get weirdly competitive with one another when really we should all just work together. I know this is very happy-go-lucky sort of attitude.
Bit blue-pilled of you.
Yeah, but people get very competitive about their tournaments and want them to be the best, which is natural. But there's one every weekend, so we'll just it's fine. How's that for a statement?
You got to imagine the reason that I don't know if the other TOs, not being against Panda, but Panda working with Nintendo surely did not do them any favors in the TO community.
They would definitely ruffle some feathers.
Yeah, Nintendo's notorious for having shut down events in the past, like the Big House 10, which is one of the reasons Smash World Tour didn't want to fuck with their statement when Nintendo said, you don't have a license, but technically we didn't cancel you.
Yeah.
I think that the problem is that at its core, the problem is with Nintendo wanting to shut things down, right? None of this would be a thing if that wasn't a thing that's happened in the past and is maybe happening now. They said you should, or it's quite confusing.
Yeah.
But historically, Nintendo's always done this.
It's very opposite to Nintendo being yeah, woohoo, go ahead. We've fixed everything.
And that is the main problem. But then you don't have a choice but to deal with that if you want to play Smash, because that's the people who make the game you're playing. You don't have a choice. So nobody wants to direct their negative energy towards Nintendo when really that is the source of the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they just need something to blame. They need someone to blame. They need to pin it on something, because I feel like at the end of the day, who do you think does worse off, even if Alan from Panda is guilty, or even if what he says, which is that VGBC has orchestrated this thing, who's the biggest problem? It's Nintendo.
Yeah.
But they're so
That's
big
not an
and
easy
invincible.
target, yeah.
They're an impossible to fight target. So everyone's like, I'm going to blame someone else. And then everyone's just fighting each other when they all want the same thing at the end of the day. When everyone's, I don't want to say enemy, it sounds dramatic. Everyone's enemy is Nintendo stopping these things. Everyone's on the same side, but because Nintendo's invincible, they all just fight each other. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think
rough.
I'll just end with the too long didn't read of what I think. I have now left Panda. I don't think it's worth me having an opinion on who's right and who's wrong, because I don't know anyone personally and I knew nothing behind the scenes. I just made videos for Panda. And this obviously all fucking sucks for the Smash scene in many, many ways. So
look
That's
forward
it.
to some variety videos.
maybe.